Welcome back to the Prosperous Life Podcast, everyone. Thank you so much for showing up today. It is my guest's goal as well as my goal to move your needle in sales. Now, before you turn this off because you're not in sales, keep in mind in this conversation that every conversation that you're having in life is sales. Either you're getting what you want or you're not. Now, as far as today goes, we're so blessed to have this guest because he's the sales manager over Sage Homes, which is a custom home builder right here in Utah. Now, with that in mind, he has years and years of our sales experience, which he'll be able to help you today. With that in mind, welcome to the show, Bridger Jessop. Well, Bridger, welcome to the show.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Okay, it's crazy that we've known each other for so long. We've ran each other a couple times the last
little bit. It's crazy, man, like how things work out, but it's meant to be, I think so.
It's so cool to have seen and watch you grow over your career in sales over the last couple of years.
I appreciate that, man.
Of course. So obviously you've been in sales your entire life. You've never had a paycheck per se.
Outside of high school, no. Right out of high school, I never had a job unless it was 1099 selling something.
So what was the jobs that you had in high school?
Let's see, high school, just to pay for gas. First job was at Beans and Brews. I worked at American Stone Rock Yard, worked at a Sportsman's Warehouse in the actual warehouse. Let's see what else. And then I did one-off construction jobs.
Okay, good deal. So, and then immediately after high school, you pivoted into sales?
Yep. Well, so right after high school, I went to a semester of college.
Okay.
Didn't really know what I was doing. Just wanted to go to Dixie and hang out. So didn't have a job.
For school or just kidding?
No, not even for school. Honestly, like I thought I wanted to do something in the medical field, but I learned how much school you needed to do, and sure. that just wasn't what I wanted to do. So I just went to that semester. I played rugby. That was fun. I donated plasma for money. That's how I made money. And then after my semester, I came back to Salt Lake, registered for Slick, and then I heard about door-to-door sales, and I was all registered for school, but decided to move to Hawaii. So
that's amazing. So you started in Hawaii with door-to-door sales.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
How long were you out there knocking for?
We were out there for about 6 months, knocking for alarms.
Okay.
Doing alarm sales.
So you went from alarm. You didn't even jump straight into solar. You went from alarms. So you've sold alarms, solar, real estate, and what else?
Satellite as well.
Satellite. Yep. Good deal. So the question always comes down when I see always a great salesman. I either feel like they're either naturally talented or they've worked their ass off. Which one is it for you?
Honestly, I don't think I'm good. Like even right now, I'm nervous to be on like camera. So I'm not the person to be like a terrific, public speaker or anything like that, or want to get up in front of people and have all this attention or anything like that. Like it's just not me.
Well, those are the best salespeople.
I think it's just like everybody has kind of their own thing, whether they're really good at the technique or they have to learn the technique and kind of master that craft. But it all boils down to putting in the action,
Sure. So you feel, what I'm hearing from you is that you felt like you had some natural talents, but ultimately you had to do the reps in order to really perfect.
For sure. Yeah. Like talking to myself in the mirror, getting awkward, like that awkwardness, like this pitch feels weird. Like in me, in my salesy voice, it like sounds weird. So what worked really well for me, especially starting out, is just kind of being real with people and talking to them like this, instead of like trying to, be a robot and pitch people.
Do the sales tactics and
yep.
What pitch do I need to do here?
Yep, exactly.
Just being human.
Yep.
Sometimes I would agree that that's the best thing to have, is because my mom always said, and she's obviously a real estate agent as well, longer than I've been alive. People always forget what you say and what you do, but they never forget how you make them feel.
Yep.
And my thought process along saying being human is that if you make somebody feel good, they'll make the initial sell, but also they'll remember you 5-10 years down the road when they need to buy another house.
Yep. Absolutely.
So to this point, what would you say sales has always been on the up and up, or what struggles have you gone through in your sales career?
Oh man, I think I've been through, like, I was actually thinking about this the other week, that I think I've been through more adversity than wins with sales. And I think that's why I like it, because like when I get down in the adversity mode and things are kind of slow, and that's kind of where we're at right now with real estate. It's like, it's kind of a weird market. People are a little scared to buy because of rates and stuff like that. And I like to be the guy to come up with something creative, or to just go out and be the will, I'm the will that will just, will my way through, the adversity markets and stuff like that. And so I actually like the downturns in that aspect, because the come up is so much better than the last, and so it just makes it feel a lot better when things are just rolling how they should.
What I'm hearing is, when the market's so good, everybody's a real estate agent.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
You enjoy being able to just, let's get out these newbies and the people that don't know what they're doing, and let's create a creative solution in order to create value for people.
Right. And I think it creates true work. It creates like true work ethic, and everybody gets a little slice of humble pie. And that's what makes them, I don't know, in my belief, like, the amount of humble pie that I've eaten in my life has just made me a much better person, I think.
Sure. So what is the biggest piece of humble pie that you've had in your life?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Cause I've eaten a lot. I've always had, I don't know, when you start something new, I would say that, like, just off the top of my head, when I start something new and think that, oh, I've got this. Like, so for example, working in solar for 5 years and managing teams, over 20 plus people, and actually having that craft down, going into real estate, being like, oh, like, I already know how to sell. I sell a lot better than these guys because I actually go door to door, and that just smacked me right in the face. Like, it was a completely different learning curve, especially in new construction, because I just had to learn new construction. I didn't need to necessarily learn how to sell, but that's what sells it, is learning the product, And so there was no sales tactic that I could use that would work. People just needed me to know the product, So
essentially it was, you can tell me if this is right. What I'm hearing is new construction is more service to sales. They come in and ask for a service, and from there you figure out how to sell the product.
I would say,
it's not really door-to-door cold calling type sales.
Exactly. Because what we like to do is network with outside agents that have buyers to bring their buyers. That's kind of our outsourcing, like our outselling, We're not necessarily trying to reach every buyer. We want to go to the people that have buyers, which is outside agents. Right. And so we like to make those connections, and, that's who we'll call, and that we'll go to brokerage meetings and stuff like that, introduce ourselves and show our product and why we're better than other home builders in different aspects and stuff like that. But then, when they bring buyers to us, it's, you kind of have an hour with them to show them if you're, able to, fulfill their needs or not, by how confident you are in your product. And the only way that you can be is if you know it.
Sure. That's amazing. So what I'm hearing is your biggest adversity was transitioning from solar to real estate. Is that fair to say?
I would say that was one of the biggest. Yeah. And obviously I think the whole door-to-door industry kicked my ass for sure. Sorry. I don't know.
No, you're good.
But that whole time, that whole 5 years kicked my butt. And I can say truthfully, I'm don't know if I should say this right now, but there was a point in door to door where, I mean, I had, I had made it to higher highs than I had ever been. And then, the very next year, probably because of lack of money management, like good money management, I mean, I was desperate for money, and so it taught me those lows were some of the worst lows because financial stress is one of the worst things out there. But it taught me so much about, I never want to get back to this feeling, and so it made me a lot more responsible with money, especially.
So at those 5 years, would you say you made a lot of money and then all of a sudden you had no money?
I would say that during the whole 5 years, it was just, I was dumb because when you're a kid right out of high school and then right out of college and you have this great idea of like, oh, I'm going to go knock doors. And then you start being successful at it. I feel like, if you've never been humbled, you're just like, oh, I've got the world by the nuts. Like, I don't need to answer to anybody. I know what I'm doing. I'm going to make money for the rest of my life. This money is guaranteed for me as long as I know what I'm doing. Like, as long as I keep doing what I'm doing, but it's not, it's just not like there's downturns in markets. There's, upsides in markets, obviously, but the upsides are a lot shorter lived than the downturns. And so it's what I've learned over that whole 5 years and going into real estate is that preparing for the downturns, being smart with your money, that's kind of what I learned that whole time, because I never really had anything to show. I did buy, I bought my first townhouse off of, doing solar. And then I was able to buy my second house that I live in now just off of solar. So I didn't do any of that through real estate. But even after that, I didn't have anything to show for it, like in my bank account. It was all towards, my real estate. And so it could have been planned out a little better. And then, so moving forward after that, I got a little bit smarter, I guess.
And was investing in your first real estate property and the second one worth it for you, or was it? For
sure.
Not?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it definitely was like that. I don't know. Real estate for me, some people believe it, some people don't. But based off of history, it's one of the safest, investments that you can make in your whole life, because no matter what type of market we're in, whether it's going to crash, whether it's going to go up, like it's always going to do this, over time. So real estate's always a good place to put your money. It may not make you, 5x, 10x your money in a few years, like some of these cryptos or stocks or whatever, but it's definitely a safe bet. So
it's secure. It's a hard asset.
Yep. Yeah. And it's limited.
Sure.
Know? So I don't think we're going to see a lot of 1/3 acre, 1/2 acre, 1 acre lots here in Utah, or especially in Salt Lake Valley, for much longer. Everything's going to go vertical. And also a lot of people aren't going to be able to afford housing. It's going to be rent. That's going to be the thing. There's not a lot of people in California that, that just move out there on a whim and are able to purchase a property because it's so high out there, and the cost of living alone, on top of trying to buy $1 million house, it's hard. And that $1 million house is maybe a quarter of the space that we have here,
It's crazy, isn't it?
So everybody just rents.
Of course.
So
you've gone through a lot of adversity. So when was the moment that you recognized, like, was there a moment in your life that you were like, man, I need to get my sales under control. I need to get my money under control. What was the point where you recognized your pain?
Couple different times. I mean, one was after I went through alarms. I had, made more money in that in just 6 months than I had ever made in my high school, career out of all those jobs. And that, didn't have anything to show for that once I started solar, just a few months after that. I literally had like negative 6 cents in my checking account. And so that was an eye opener for sure. And then also after buying my first house, I was basically back at that same spot, and I didn't know how. I didn't understand like why, how, like this isn't how life's supposed to work. You're supposed to work, go through ups and downs, but once you start making a lot of money, you keep making a lot of money. But that's not how it works. Like you have to work your ass off to keep making a lot of money. And sometimes you have to work even harder to make 20% of the money that you made last year. It just depends on the market. So yeah, those two times definitely were eye openers. And then also, I mean, obviously just the learning curves throughout them and realizing, that I didn't know everything in sales. That was kind of the learning point there. So
it's interesting that you say all this, and just to kind of relate to you. So I've obviously made quite a bit of career different changes. Mm-hmm. Before I started my coaching, obviously that's coaching, but of course that entails sales and showing people that I can help you transform your life as long as you choose to trust me.
Yep.
But I would say that door to door, I thought I was on top of the world as well.
You're good at it though.
Thanks. I appreciate that. I love door to door. Honestly, mm-hmm. It's a thrill to get a door slammed in your face once in a while.
I mean, it is. It's not to cut you off. I'll let you go. So sorry, but it's cool to like just generate money out of thin air. You know what I'm saying? Because that person that you're knocking on, they're not thinking of you until you knocked on their door, and they didn't want to buy what you have until you convinced them to buy what you have and what's good for them,
Exactly.
And so you completely cold sold somebody and generated money out of thin air. And so that to me was like the best feeling in the world.
I agree. And I would say that is my favorite type of sales, honestly, being able to cold call mm-hmm. or knock and transform them into a sale.
Yeah.
I just get a thrill out of it.
Most fulfilling for sure.
But I transitioned into selling TV at Xfinity, or they're known as bridge locations, and they just sell the product. I hated it. For somebody to walk in for a service and then you have to figure out how to sell them. I hate that type of sales.
Yeah. I can relate 100% with real estate. I actually miss the thrill of door knocking a lot more than the busy work that I have now. It actually, and obviously in like managing now, it's a lot more busy work,
Sure.
But yeah, like going out and just having the motivation, like just like kind of getting that fire under your ass to like go create something. It's definitely a lot different than having people come to you and you're selling them on your service or product or whatever. But
I agree. It's that thrill of door to door is amazing.
Yeah,
it really is. And you're in full control.
Yeah.
The only reason you don't make money is if you're not doing the work.
Exactly.
Service to sales, sure, you can do other things to generate leads or whatever the case is, but ultimately you're sitting there waiting for somebody to come in to where you can serve.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you can advertise yourself as much as possible and try to, go through your sphere of influence to, try to create that referral based business from whatever product you're selling. But yeah, it can definitely go a lot more south or north on, if you're the creator of 100% of it. So
amen to that. Anyways, that's actually exactly where I was going with is. So it's funny that you brought all that up as we led literally where I was going is the different types of sales. And so the question comes down, you were mentioning preparing for the downturns mm-hmm. because there's a lot more downturns as far as sales goes than upturns.
Yep.
It's just part of the ghost. I mean, obviously, ideally, it's still going up similar to anything. Mm-hmm. And at some points, the bigger dips become the lower dips and whatnot.
Yep.
How do you prepare for the dips in your life now?
I think, oh, honestly, man, I mean, I was a lot more impulsive before I had a kid. And, you know, I told, I told my girlfriend to quit her job to watch our baby. And so now I've got a family that I've got to, be safe for. And that's not really my style is very impulsive, but it's good. It's good for me because now it's like, like kind of the basics of the old sayings of like having 6 to 8 months of reserves, which mine are, kind of investments, but I see them as reserves instead of spending them,
Sure.
But yeah, so like stuff like that, especially just something like that to have to not stress about in those downturns, because sometimes you can't control everything, like you're not saying that, not trying to give people, myself an out. If it's like a downturn, it's like, okay, well, probably shouldn't even just go to work today because it's, not going to work out anyways. No, you can definitely control what you can do and your actions that you put in 100%. And you can put more in those downturns to, like I said, make 20% of what you made last year. But yeah, just, I would say those reserves aside will at least give you the, what's the word? Like, point is, financial stress is kind of like it's kind of like the evil of all evil, because once you're stressed financially, your brain's not working right. Like, you're mad at your spouse, you're mad at your life, you're mad at your home life. Like, your home life becomes stressful because your work life and financials are out of whack, And then it becomes a compound effect to where, you're just desperate, and which makes you, seem desperate at your job. And if you're in sales and you seem desperate, then you're not going to get sales, And so having that in the back of your mind that you're fine financially, if the world, shut off for 8 months and I had no way of making any money, I'm good. Having that in the back of your mind, you're going to be confident going to work and being like, you know what, I don't care if this is a downtrend, yeah, I'm not making as much money and that sucks, but I'm not stressed out here, So.
Sure. So what I'm hearing is to prepare for your downtrends, of course, have a reserve of money. Don't be as impulsive as you were.
Yeah, exactly.
But 2 is ultimately keep showing up. Showing up as if you were fine.
Yep.
Showing up is, I always say that there's 3 things to really win in any area of life. 1, show up 100% for what you promise. Don't let things slip through the cracks, and make sure you're growing.
Absolutely.
Because just showing up 100% is not enough.
Right.
You got to grow.
Exactly. Yeah, I had a manager in my first solar job. I was setting appointments, and I had the negative 6 cents in my account. And because I had spent all the money I had made in alarms, and I was stressed out, and he could tell that. He was like, dude, like, you're not selling how you usually sell. You're not you anymore, And I'm like, yeah, dude, because I'm stressed out. Like, I'm not making any money. And he's like, look, go out today, go out this whole week and picture, he's like, what's a lot of money to you? And I was like
6 cents.
Yeah,
Just kidding.
It's like 6 cents to get back to zero. But no, but he was like, what's a lot of money to you? I was like, I don't know. Like, he's like, what's a lot of money to you? And I was like, at the time, I was like, 100 grand, that's a lot of money. I want to make that in a year, And he was like, okay, take that 100 grand and put it in your back pocket. And that's in your back pocket right now. Like, picture that, imagine it, and just know it, feel it. Like, you have 100 grand in your back pocket. You're just going to work today. You don't need to make money. You're not going to die if you don't make any money. And literally, dude, wrapping my head around that and convincing myself that I had 100 grand in my pocket made all the difference. It was like, I'm literally stressing myself out of money, you know, I was a detriment to myself.
I love that you said that. I'm literally stressing myself out of money.
Yeah. I'm stressed about money, and I'm making less money because I'm so stressed about it, you know?
Isn't that crazy what that can do? And as before, you talked about being human. A human that's financially well, that can't afford solar, doesn't care about your problems.
Right.
So if you're stressed, that person doesn't care.
Right.
You need to provide the value to be able to convince them, or to, I say, serve them to recognize that solar makes sense for them.
Well, on anything that you're selling, they're not going to be buying what you have unless you're confident.
Yeah.
You know,
and if you're stressed, you ain't confident.
You're like, dude, buy this. And they're like, yeah, I can tell like you're not doing that well. So I'm not going to, nobody else is buying from you. And I know that, you know, so
there's a reason that you're not telling me.
Yep, exactly.
And so after that week, I'm sure there was other downturns, obviously, but did you ever operate out of that much stress again in your sales career?
Yeah, I would always find myself going back to that. And then I think that's why over time I appreciated all the downtrends and times like that, because I went through a few times like that to where, you know, I didn't like how my bank account was making me feel. And it was, you know, very humbling, very, you know, it was very stressful and humbling. And then when, you know, in times like now, I think about those times and I was like, I always think of like, what could be the worst case scenario? And that's it right there. That and worse, I could have lost my house. I could, you know, this and that, but like I didn't. I always found a way, always found something, some way to get by, to make it forward and then go on the up, you know? And so I run through the worst case scenario in my head a ton, and it makes me feel a lot better. So
you're like, wow, my life's still pretty good.
Yeah, sure.
I got my house. I got my AC.
I've got my house. My bills are paid. You know, I live in a free country. I live, you know, in a fantastic neighborhood with a beautiful daughter, beautiful girlfriend. Like I'm super lucky.
That's amazing.
So
such a good feeling.
Yeah.
Having a partner by your side, I'm sure makes for sales a lot easier too.
Oh yeah, dude, for sure. 100%.
So being a dad, being a boyfriend, how has that influenced your sales career?
Good, man. Honestly, at first being a boyfriend ruined it, but just because I wasn't focused on sales anymore. I mean, but no. And then obviously you want to make sure that you can take them out on dates and provide for them, obviously, when they move in and, you know, this and that. And then I wanted to build us a new house. And so it just got, you know, more and more motivated. And then obviously having a kid, that just, you know, that put another fire under my ass, and was just, now it's not an option, you know?
Of course.
So
I think it's funny you say that. I started in door-to-door right before I started dating her. Let's ask the videographer, what do you want to call her, how my money spent was going to after. So yes, it certainly helps now, but at first it wrecks you.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I definitely was just, I kind of forgot about, you know, the passion that I had for sales once I fell in love. And then now we've been together for 7 years, and it's, you know, that's definitely been the healthiest. It was probably the healthiest thing that happened to me, because I wasn't taking care of me, you know, before that. So.
And that's what's cool is you go through the honeymoon phase, you throw all the money principles out the door, you have some fun, and then you build the foundation, and then you build on and upwards from there. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure we actually got with our girls at the same time. Well, when did you start dating your girlfriend?
Let's see. We've been together 7 years now. 2016.
Was it in October? Do I have that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we started dating October 8th.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was weird because we went, let's see. we started talking in like September, and then I think I asked her to be my girlfriend in October.
That's exactly us. That is awesome.
Yeah, so we weren't selling around the same time then.
No, we weren't.
Well, I'm saying like we both got a girlfriend, and we're probably just like, oh, screw sales for a second, you know.
Yeah, that's too funny. I was going to make a dirty comment. Hey,
it's your show.
We'll go screw something else, right? I'm just kidding.
Exactly. Well, that's what I'm saying, dude. It's like sometimes, like, and not to be like a, you know, because I don't think all, you know, like guys are dogs or anything like that, but guys are motivated by a couple things in the world, you know, and it's girls or your significant other. Like that's where your, you know, our hormones go, and money, you know, and the money usually buys something so that we could get the girl, or, you know, it kind of all goes together.
It really does.
So.
And now motivated by providing for your daughter, and now you have a different girl in your life that you want to provide for.
Exactly.
And the cycle goes on and on and on.
Yep, 100%.
And truthfully, it's external motivators are good in life. At least in my belief, if I don't have pressure on me, I don't operate at my full potential.
For sure.
So it's nice having the pressure. Having a wife, minus that out of my life, I have a lot less pressure.
Yeah.
Which means I care a lot less.
Right.
So I enjoy the external pressures, and I think all men, in my belief, need to have external pressures.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Like, yeah, absolutely.
A reason to get up in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
Sure, we can find our own internal reasons to get up. Don't get me wrong. I know you need to be 100%. So you can be 100% for the world or your wife, girlfriend, daughter. Although, to have other things that are fulfilling you, community, love, whatever that is to you, it's important.
Absolutely. Well, and I think that's what it all boils down to. Just because, like, I don't know, like whatever you do, I think you do it for love, you know, like nobody wants to go buy a yacht and sit on it by themselves. Yeah, it'll be fun for a year or two, but then you want to enjoy it with your friends and family, and you want them to come experience that. You want to share the moments with them. You want to, you know, go on vacations with your friends and family. You want to, you know, travel the world. You want to do all these things that you can do with money. Buy a house so you can entertain. You have all these people over, and like you don't want to do all of this stuff alone, you know? So it all boils down to love, really. And so, yeah, that's actually something my dad told me. That's weird. I'm turning into my dad, but that's something that he told me.
Is that a good thing?
Yeah. I mean, well, yeah, maybe. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And so, and I mean, obviously, and correct me if I'm wrong, your dad's still the owner of Sage Homes, correct?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And we can edit this out of the show if you'd like.
Oh, no.
Are you a little owner of it at all?
No, nope. So what's cool, I mean, and it's a good question. What's cool about it is, so me and Brandon we were selling for Clear Solar out in South Carolina one summer. And this was on our last stint with solar, and we were both just kind of burnt out from it, and still running a couple teams out there. And we, you know, made the jump to go to South Carolina and put all this time and energy and money into it, and thought it would be so, you know, at least as good as what we've been doing or better. And it turned out worse, you know, than what we had been doing, or, you know, just completely. And so we were kind of fed up with it. And, one night I got a call from my dad, and he was just like, well, why don't you stop bitching about it and just get your real estate license, and you guys can come sell for me. And we were like, yeah, I guess we never really thought about it, you know? And so literally that next year we both started on our real estate licenses. We continued doing sales for, I think he did HVAC sales. And then I did one more one more 6 months in solar in Colorado. Finished my real estate license, schooling, and then went and took the test and passed the test and everything. And then didn't really know what I was getting into, you know? And that's, that was one of the humble pies that I ate, because going into that, I expected to just, not because I was his son, but because of the amount of like raw sales experience that I had, like door to door, like cold selling people, that I would be able to create a team, teach them how to sell this and that, and be like a sales manager. And it's been 4.5 years, and I just became the sales manager 2 months ago. And so I didn't know what I was getting into. It was, and honestly, I told him to pay me about a third, maybe less than what he was paying his prior sales manager, until I proved that, we're profitable, like with me and Brandon as the sales managers. So yeah, long ways from actually like, having piece of, profit shares or anything like that with Sage Homes, or having anything to do with any ownership of it. We're still kind of earning our stripes. So,
well, that's a good thing though, right?
Absolutely.
I mean,
yeah.
I don't know if you ever had, obviously your dad has, I know your dad's story. He had some major success, crashed in 2008.
Yep.
But now he's here again, which is well-deserved. Your dad clearly works his butt off and clearly shows up when it doesn't make sense. Yep. Right. And I've enjoyed also watching that. I don't know this to be true. I'm sure other people in the Salt Lake Valley don't necessarily look at Sage Homes and know that story. Mm-hmm. I have such a high respect for Sage Homes because I know his story. And the fact that even after 2008 and all that bull crap that he went through, he still decided to get up and keep going.
I appreciate that, man.
To speak to that, I also respect him that much more, and you more. And I always had a perspective of that was the case because I always saw you as a hard worker, is the fact that he hasn't just given it to you.
For sure.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. No, it really is. It's one of the best things that I've ever had. He's definitely, my main mentor of my life. I've had plenty of mentors, but he's somebody that I've always listened to. And yeah, he's never, just given it to me or anybody. He's treated me just like he would treat anybody else. And I appreciate it more than anything, because that was kind of the weird conflict when we started, because I didn't want that. I know he didn't want that either, And so it was like, once we became clear about that, then it was like we're just good to go.
Was there a conversation like, Dad, I don't want you just to give me this success. I want to work for it.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of like, we kind of got into a few heated conversations to where it was like, I don't know. He definitely had to, I don't know. He told me to check my ego a couple times, which I thought, it was misunderstanding kind of what I was saying, but I knew where he was coming from. Sure. Like I knew that he was saying like, you don't know the industry that I've been in for 25 plus years. You can't come in here and just start, stating things that you have no idea about. And then on the other hand, I was saying basically the same thing that he was, but I don't know. It was kind of a heated conversation. It was just weird, but I appreciated it. And I at that point I knew that he wasn't just going to give me anything. And I loved that. Like, I was like, okay, I know I'm not here, because I don't want to wake up and just feel like, this charity case, like that there's no fulfillment in that. No. I want to work for every dime that I make and earn every dime that I make, and not make money if I don't make money. You know what I'm saying? So,
I mean, it's nice to know that you shoot it, you kill it, and you get to keep it. It's not
right.
just
exactly.
go to the grocery store. Hey, let me get what I want, and then go home.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I just want to reiterate that I've always seen your hard work, and I see that, I mean, maybe it comes from other mentors, but I see that from your dad. The fact that he's built something up from the very little knowledge that I know. He built up a company, obviously had a struggle in 2008. I don't know if it was called Sage Homes at that point, but it's
Sage Builders. But yeah.
So same identical things, but different, and rebuilt the similar but different brand up to what it is now.
Oh, I appreciate you saying that, dude, for real.
And referencing you, the fact that you've gone through your own adversities and built up, and now you're here. And the fact that you've been asked for less money than the last sales manager to prove yourself, which is awesome.
Yeah.
I'm sure your dad's super proud of you too. I don't know if he tells you that.
I appreciate it, man.
But I'm sure he is.
I thank you. I really appreciate it. I mean, we've still got a ways to go. We're still on month 2, but I think things have actually worked out really well. So I'm excited. I have I have that same feeling of like, that fire under my ass again, and, excited to wake up and go to work. And I am actually loving my job again, my career. That.
So you think it's working out, or it's working out?
I know for a fact that it's working out. Yeah.
You got to claim that, man.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. We just we've got to have the numbers show. So
of course, that's sales. It's a numbers game. Yeah. We would like to sometimes it would be nice to make a big check and not be about numbers, but that's not how it works.
Exactly. Yeah.
So for somebody ready to take their sales game to the next level, and in the intro, I mentioned that everybody's in sales. This conversation right now is in sales. We're either going in the right direction or we're going in the wrong direction. Right. Everything is sales.
Yep.
Right? How can what are the fundamental bases of how somebody can get better naturally at sales, whether they're in sales or out of sales?
Well, I think the 3 main things that people focus, there's probably one main thing that people focus on is technique, right? And yes, you absolutely have to get your technique, know your product, know your pricing, know your rates, know your programs, whatever you're selling, you have to know it. And you have to know your audience. You have to know your competitors. You have to know your who you're pitching, who your market is, right? That's all of your technique. And then there's attitude. So number 2 is attitude. Obviously, if you learn everything, your technique is spot on. You could ramble off your whole manual, your book, whatever, in your sleep, but you have a shitty attitude, you're not going to sell that much, right?
Sure.
And so, 3rd thing is action. And that's probably the most important to me, is the action outside of technique or attitude. Because if you think about it, you could have the shittiest attitude and not know what you're selling, not know what you're doing. But if you talk to enough people, you're going to sell one, right? If you have the best technique and the best attitude, and you're just the best person to be around, if you don't get out of the car and go talk to one person, you're not going to sell one. You'll never sell anything. If you don't pick up the phone and talk to anybody and do the action of selling, you're never going to sell anything. And obviously with the attitude, same thing. You can have the best attitude and everybody could love you and know you and this and that. But if you never push your product or, put in the time, put in the action, the physical, movement, call, knock, talk to who you need to talk to, you're never going to sell anything. And so just actually, because it's the technique that gets everybody. Everybody wants to just perfect it before they start, just start, just go, just literally. You'll never be ready. You'll never be ready 110%. For example, I don't think I've had the same type of home buyer building a custom home that wants the same exact stuff that I'm just like, boom, boom, boom. I know how to do that. Yes. This. I'm at this point. Yes. I know our product and I know what we can do and what we can't do for the most part, but I'm never going to be prepared for everything. And if I take the time to be prepared for everything, or try to be prepared for everything and crafting that technique, I'm going to lose a lot of deals, because I'm not out there putting in the action.
Sure. And you can figure it out along the way and grow.
Absolutely. I think that's the best teacher, is just putting in the action, getting your butt kicked, getting fed to the wolves, and then seeing, what you need to do. That was actually my first neighborhood that I got put in Hawaii. Was this weird, it was on Maui, and it was in Wailuku, and Wailuku's not like touristy, it's where the locals live. And it was actually a pretty rundown neighborhood. Every single person rented their house. I wasn't prepared for any of this. Like, nobody can buy an alarm if they rent their house, right?
Sure.
And I was trying to pitch people while they're even telling me, they rent their house, this and that. And I'm just like lost, I stayed in there for like 3 or 4 days, almost, just trying to find a homeowner in there. And literally the first homeowner, like, I just started knocking on people's doors and asking if they knew if anybody in here owned their house. And this one guy was like, yeah, this guy, he owns his house right across the street. I sprinted to his house and I just knocked on his door, and I didn't even pitch him. I was like, dude, you are the only homeowner in this place, and I've been looking for somebody that owns their house to show you what I have. Like, just that. And he was like, okay, come in. Didn't even tell him what I had, but I sold him an alarm. I oversold, because we have like points that we, work with and stuff. So I technically lost money on it, but I sold him a system, So
hey, that's a win.
That was my very first sell.
I'm sure it fired you up.
I was pumped, dude. Yeah, I went home. My manager was like, dude, nice. What'd you give him? I was like, yeah, I gave him, these outdoor cameras, this, the doorbell, this. And he's like, all right, we lost money, but it's okay. Like,
you're like, yeah, I made some money. He's like, no, you didn't.
I was like, how much did I make? He's like, not anything. We actually lost money, but it's okay. You did good. So yeah, that was my very first sell. But I was just so happy that it just like, yeah, like just putting in the time, putting in the effort, the action. That's all that matters. Because technique, like you said, it's just, crafted over time. You master that over time. And, you could wait to get your, 1,000 hours in of, whatever you want to be a professional in or whatever, and then start, or you could just start and then get the street smarts about it first,
I love that.
So
what I heard is, one, of course, knowledge, market knowledge, knowing your value, your rates, knowing your competition, just overall the market and what you actually do. Mm-hmm. 2 is your attitude, and 3, actually showing up.
Yeah. I would say the action is by far the most important.
I love that. And naturally, as you take action, that's really just a cycle. I mean, you have an idea of what you do. From there, you get a good attitude that you can actually go do it.
Yep.
And then you go and sell. You show up.
Yep.
And naturally, as you do that, it's going to strengthen your knowledge, your market knowledge,
yep.
which is going to give you a better attitude, which is going to allow you to take more action. And just the cycle gets stronger and stronger.
Exactly. And sorry, not to ramble, but just to add to that real quick, like, there's a lot of people, like, there's a lot of big talk out there these days.
Sure.
It's huge talk. Everybody can talk. But if you really want to be a master in whatever you're doing, you have to learn from somebody that is already there. You're wasting your time going to somebody that, for one, may not care about you, and 2, doesn't have what you want. It's kind of empty. It's like an empty promise to teach somebody something that I've never done, but if I have results out of something that you're doing, and the results that I have are what you want, then you should listen to me. You know what I'm saying? Those are the mentors that you want to find. the people that have what you want and are doing the same thing that you're doing.
So, amen to that. You either pay with time or you pay with money.
Right.
And if you pay with money to find the right mentor to teach you,
right,
naturally that's going to speed up your process of
for sure
becoming a master yourself.
For sure. Absolutely.
So do you see, this is just an out of the blue, do you see real estate as a forever thing for you, or do you think this is just a job for now?
I know I'll be in real estate forever. Will it be my day-to-day forever? Probably not. Just because I'm like, I'm passionate about it right now, and I've completely fallen in love with it, and it's something that I like waking up and doing every day. And, I like creating that experience for people building their dream home. It's really cool. But I know myself better than that. Like I just know I'll always want to be a part of it, but I don't know. It's kind of like the impulsiveness in me. Like
what I'm hearing is you have a deep passion for it now, but if something new comes up, you're always open for change.
I am. I mean, I'll always give whatever I do 100% of me, And so I feel like I have a lot more to give to it. Even after 4.5 years, I just know, I've made a lot more money than I did in solar, but I know I can make a lot more even than that, And so until I have like that complete financial freedom to start venturing out into, different things, I'll probably be in real estate for the most part.
That's fair. Man, today's been awesome. Thanks so much for coming.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you having me. And like I said, I've never done a podcast before, so I appreciate you being my first time. So
the way you guess, just to recognize you for a moment, the way you hold yourself makes you feel like you have been on a lot of podcasts.
I appreciate it.
And obviously you're confident in yourself because you are doing the things, right? You're showing up, you're getting your spirit, mind, body right. You're getting your money right. You're getting your career right. You're a great boyfriend from everything that I've seen, I would assume. And I assume your girlfriend tells you the same. From an outside perspective, I can tell you're an amazing dad, amazing father.
Thank you.
You're doing all the right things. So I feel like it's natural for you to show up with confidence because you're just being your authentic self.
I appreciate that.
And that's powerful.
Man. Thank you. Seriously.
Of course. So is there anything me and the audience naturally can do to support you?
Honestly, man, I mean, you personally, I really like how you're, I really like how you just like throw out those little, hey, how you doing? I can always count on it that I'm going to hear from Braiden, twice a year at least, 2 to 3 times a year. And it's rare that, even for how close, like some of the guys I've been with over the past few years and 10 years, really, since I've been started sales, we're not even that close, and, sure. And I think it's just stuff like that that's important. It's really important to just be like, hey, even if there's no gain out of it, there's no gain from, saying, hey, what's up? Like, and getting a, hey, what's up back, except for just, I don't know, like we're all, I don't know, not to get deep, but
we'll go deep, please.
I just, it's all, everybody wants to be happy. It's just about happiness and love. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And so those things go a long way, a lot longer than somebody doing you a financial favor or, this or that. Not saying that doesn't go a long way either, but just knowing that somebody cares, like that's the point. So I appreciate you reaching out every so often, and it really does mean a lot. So
of course, well, I appreciate it, and I've loved having you here. So the last question, which I ask everybody, is what is your definition of a prosperous life?
Prosperous life to me, man, I would say doing whatever makes you feel free, And because I think that's what we're all chasing. I think like at the end of the day, because there's those people that are like, money is the root of all evil, and then there's the other side that's like, money, amplifies who you are, or, money can buy time, which is freedom, right? So there's different things, and it doesn't even have to be about money, but in the end, it all boils down to every single person in all three of those categories are wanting freedom and happiness, and to live prosperous. Like they just want to be in their element. And the only way to do that is obviously, do what you want to do, have the career that you want to have, do the job that you want to do. Don't do the job that you don't want to do. Make as much money as you want to make. If you don't care about money, don't care about money, do whatever you want to do. But, respect others people's decisions too. There's a lot of opinions out there these days that, that you're wrong. No, you're wrong. I do it right. No, they do it right. It's like, no, everybody, if you're happy doing what you're doing it right.
I love that. So just be you. And
yeah, be you, do you, be happy in your own element. So
that's powerful. I love that. Now, do you have any last messages you'd like to share with the audience?
Like I said, I'm not good at the public speaking or anything like that. So I'll kind of just leave it there, but I appreciate you, man. Seriously.
That's all right.
You've been an awesome buddy since we met. So I appreciate you.
I'm sure you're a lifer in my life. So
absolutely.
And I look forward to there's a lot of stories that we could have shared on this.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure at some point down the road, you'll be in this seat again.
Cool. Let's do it.
We'll share those stories too.
We'll have to keep it PG, maybe PG-13, but
of course. With that in mind, everybody, thank you so much for showing up today. And as far as today goes, go ahead and take this conversation, implement it into your day-to-day life, implement it into your career. As we talk today, you have a choice. And the choice is yours to become your true, authentic self in order to go create the life that you deserve. That in mind, have a wonderful day, everyone.